My dear students, today I would like to teach you anatomy and physiology of the human brain. Well, my name is Indra Kant Pathak and I'm a professor. And so let's start today anatomy and physiology of human brain. How does human brain work and what is exactly human brain, right? So I will tell you all of these things, right? First of all, we have to understand what is anatomy and physiology, right? So anatomy is a branch of science, right? Concerned with the bodily structure of humans, animals, and other living organisms, especially as revealed by dissection and the separation of parts. Anatomy means whenever we open the body, right? As you study about when you study, then you just dissect the animals like frog and others also. So after dissecting, after opening the body, right? Whatever you see the internal structure, that is called anatomy, right? And function of all these, that is called physiology. So physiology, the branch of biology that deals with the normal functions of living organisms and their parts. The branch of biology that deals with the normal functions of living organisms and their body parts. How do body part work? Right? The functions of the body part, that is called physiology. And whenever you open the body part and see the internal organ, that's called anatomy. So anatomy and physiology of the human brain, I'm going to tell you. I would open the brain and I would just show you all these information. So what is the function of nervous system? First thing is that I will tell you. And before this one, then I will tell you about how does the nervous system made up. The nervous system consists of, whenever we talk about nervous system, you know very well, my dear friend, actually, we are multicellular organism, right? Billions and billions of cells are there in our body, right? And all these cells unite together and form the tissues. And all the tissues unite together and form the organ. All the organs unite together and form the system. And all the systems unite together and form the body. Like different types of systems are there, like circulatory system, excretory system, right? A skeletal system, respiratory system, nervous system, and so on. So nervous system, I'm telling you. Nervous system consists of the brain, a spinal cord, sensory organs, and all of the nerves that connect these organs with the rest of the body. So nervous system, especially brain and spinal cord, I will discuss today, right? Together, these organs are responsible for the control of the body and communication along with parts. Whenever we talk about brain, whenever we talk about the spinal cord, so there's a coordination between all these and they control the whole body, right? So where do we find the brain? Brain is present inside the skull. This one you would see, my dear friend. This is called a skull, right? Actually, here we have a skull. Or this, when you can open this one also. Here we are having sutures. So just you cut the sutures, and after that you could open this skull. After opening the skull, because this is a hollow part. Inside the hollow part, our brain, there's a very delicate part that is present inside. So I'm going to tell you all this. So it is a large, hollow, rounded part of the skull. So it could be asked about, first of all, human skull. So the human skull is a bony structure that forms the head in the human skeleton, right? It is a bony skeleton. And what is cranium? So it is a large, hollow, rounded part of the skull. So cranium is a part of the skull. Cranium is the internal part of the skull. Its cavity is termed as cranial cavity, which encloses the brain during life. Hence, the cranium is also called brain box. So this skull is there. Inside the skulls, we are having cranium, or inside the cranium, our body is present inside that. Right. So cranium is called cranial box also. So brain box also inside the brain. So this is called. See, I told you now, my dear friend, some sutures are there. This is the brain, my dear friend. Right here, this side, this brain is called frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. These are the parts, one is structure. Frontal parts, right? Frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. These parts are there. So let us say what sutures are there. Here we can divide this one. We can open this one also. Like we have sutures. Like so in this way, pictures like parietal part is there, temporal part, occipital part, and this upper jaw and this called lower jaw. So everything comes under that one. Now here you see that your brain. This part I'm showing you. This is the actually one person. This that person when his brain was opened, and after that this delicate muscles because that fleshy structure that I'm showing you. So this is the part of the brain, my dear friend. And here we are having several cups are there, right? So all these things in three ways I am showing you the brain. In this way, we are having because frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. These four parts I will show you so that you could understand. Let's see how this thing. See, my dear friend. Actually, what happens that when so you must have heard about we are having two parts of the brain. Actually, brain we are having three parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Right? Forebrain is called prosencephalon, midbrain is called mesencephalon, and hindbrain is called rhomboencephalon. Right? Forebrain, prosencephalon, midbrain, mesencephalon, and hindbrain, rhomboencephalon. So brain is divided into three parts. So whenever we talk about forebrain, my dear friend, in forebrain, you can say that just like it's divided into part, cerebrum hemisphere. You must have heard about. So cerebrum hemisphere, one is called left cerebrum hemisphere, second is called right cerebrum hemisphere, and both are attached. I will show you how are they attached and how do they communicate each other. Right, all these things I tell you, my friend. So let's start about nervous system first of all. I'm telling you. So question you could be asked, what is nervous system exactly? But the nervous system is a part of an animal's body that coordinates its actions and transmits signals to and from different parts of the body. You know very well when something happens, then signal is given by the brain and accepted by the brain. Right? Just like I'm speaking right now. So from where does it come? This comes from the brain. Brain is giving, brain is allowing me to speak. That's why I'm speaking. Because several nerves are there. Several nerves, arteries, veins, nerves, all these things are there. They are responsible. Artery and veins, they are giving the blood. They are passing the blood. Right? So all the nerves are working properly. And nerves are there. They are just giving the message. Like sensory nerves, right? Different types of nerves. There are three types of nerves are there. I will tell you all these things. So in vertebrate species, it consists of two main parts. Whenever we talk about nervous system, there are two types of nervous system: central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. CNS, central nervous system, and PNS, peripheral nervous system. So what is central nervous system? The central nervous system is the part of the nervous system consisting of the brain and the spinal cord, right? In central nervous system, brain and the spinal cord comes into that, right? The central nervous system is so named because it integrates information it receives from and coordinates and influences the activity of all parts of the body. Got it? So what is exactly brain? The brain is arguably the most important organ in human body, right? It's the most important organ in human body. It controls and coordinates actions and reactions. It allows us to think and feel and enable us to have memories and feelings. All the things that make us human, right? Generally, if somebody tells you that is stored in the memory, in the brain, right? So all these things, it coordinates actions and reactions. It allows us to think and feel and enable us to have memories and feelings. This is a problem, right? The brain controls all the parts of the body. The brain is encased in the skull and protected by the cranium. What is this brain is encased? This brain is enclosed in the skull. This is the skull and protected by the cranium. Now I'm telling you a spinal cord a little bit. Brain, I told you from brain here, this is brain, but from here to up to here, you could say that spinal cord is there. I will tell you all these things. The spinal cord is continuous with the brain, and it starts from foramen magnum, and it's lies caudally to the brain. It's protected by the vertebra. We are having several vertebra, like lumbar vertebra, caudal vertebra, sacral vertebra, all these things I will tell you. The spinal cord reaches from the base of the skull, continues through or starting below the foramen magnum. Here we are having foramen magnum that comes through foramen magnum and goes downwards and terminates roughly level with the first or second lumbar vertebra, occupying the upper section of the vertebral column. So we are having different types of vertebra. So first thing is that in detail I'm telling you what is a cranium as we discussed earlier. So this is the brain, my dear, this is the skull. Inside the skull we are having cranium. So in detail I'm telling you what is cranium exactly. Got it? So it is a large, hollow, rounded part of the skull. It is a large, hollow, rounded part of the skull. Its cavity is termed as cranial cavity, which encloses the brain during life. Right? Hence, the cranium is also called brain box. The cavity of cranium presents an upper surface known as the vault of the skull, which is smooth on its outer surface and marked by ridges and depressions to accommodate the brain. And its blood vessels on the inner surface. The lower surface of the cavity is known as the base of the skull. Lower surface is the base of the skull. It is perforated by many holes for the passage of nerve vessels. It is perforated. Many, openings are there through which your arteries, veins that comes to give the blood and to take away the blood. The cranium is formed by 8 flattened bones, my dear. I told you this is skull. Inside the skull, we are having cranium. So the cranium is formed by 8 flattened bones, like one frontal bone, 2 parietal bone, one occipital bone, and 2 temporal bone, sphenoid 1 bone, and ethmoid 1 bone. So total becomes frontal 1 bone, parietal 2 bones, occipital 1 bone, temporals 2 bone, sphenoid 1, and ethmoid 1 bone. Now back to top. The cranial bones fit together by webby immovable boundaries called sutures. The cranial bones are there, as I told you, different bones are there. So all these bones are fit together like this one, in this way. They fit together by sutures. This is called suture like that. From where you could cut that also. The sutures help to dissipate the shock of a blow to the head. Parietal bones are demarcated from the frontal bone by a coronal suture. Different sutures, parietal bones, parietal is there, parietal bones, right? And you could say that different types of bones are there. So these are attached with the sutures, right? The human brain. See, I'm showing you here. In this way, you could see the human brain. Just like here, you see the whole brain is there. This brain, and here from here, the spinal cord that is coming from the foramen magnum, right? And here you see the whole face is there. So we find that. So meninges, you must have heard about meninges. Meningitis disease, you must have heard. So I'm going to tell you what meninges. By David Takara and Shireen G. Truvia from Clinical Anatomy for Dummies. The meanings are the meninges are the covering of the brain. They protect the brain by housing a fluid-filled space. They function as a framework for blood vessels. Actually, meninges are the covering of the brain. Your brain is there, that is covered by meninges, right? So what happens that in this here? As I told you, this is the skull. Inside the skull, we are having cranium, right? The cranium is called brain box also. Inside that, we have a brain, my dear friend. And our brain is also covered by the meninges. Brain is also covered by the meninges, and meninges have 3 layers, my dear friend. Now see the great thing. First, the skull is there that is protecting. After skull, we are having cranium, that's called brain box, right? The sutures are there inside that also, I told you. And in that, it is made up of 8 bones, I told you. How many bones are there? Cranium is made up of Okay, cranium is made up of total 8 flattened bones. Right. I told you all these are connected with sutures. Right. And this brain, at last, we say this is also covered with the meninges. Right. So these meninges have three layers, my dear friend: the dura mater, the arachnoid mater, and the pia mater. Right. The attached matter is at the arachnoid matter is attached to the pia mater, but arachnoid trabecula, which is a wave-like matrix of connective tissue. Right. The space between the two layers, the subarachnoid space, is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. As I told you, my dear friend, the brain is covered with meninges. Right? This is the brain, my dear friend, right? This covered with the meninges. Three layers are there. First, skull is there. Second, cranium is there. After cranium, brain is there, but brain is also covered with a layer that's called meninges, and it has three parts, my dear friend: pia mater, sorry, dura mater, arachnoid member, and pia mater. The dura mater and pia mater, between that, we are having cerebrospinal fluid. So when some shocks are there, watery substance is there, it doesn't let anything to touch the brain. Right. The subarachnoid space includes several cisterns, areas where the space between the pia and arachnoid matter is widened due to an accumulation of cerebrospinal fluid that function as reservoirs. Pressure from the cerebrospinal fluid presses the arachnoid matter against the dura mater. The pia mater adheres to the surface of the brain. The dura mater is the most superficial layer of the meninges. The dura mater is the most superficial layer of the meninges and contains pores and sinuses, my dear friends. The dura mater contacts the endosternum, right? Endosteum that lines bones of the cranial cavity. The dura mater is the strong fibrous membrane. What is dura mater? The dura mater is a strong fibrous membrane that surrounds the brain and is continuous with the dura that covers the spinal cord, my dear friend. Right? See here, this one. Here we say I'm showing you the brain. Here you could say this one. Or whenever we talk about brain, cerebro, the spinal. What do we say first? This brain is divided in two parts, right? Four brain, I'm telling you. This is divided in two parts. Cerebro. First one is called cerebrum hemisphere, right? Left cerebrum hemisphere and right cerebrum hemisphere. Both are divided. After that, this one here, we are having coverings of this one. Above this one, we are having dura mater, right? And subdural cavity is there. Pia mater, this pia mater is there. Arachnoid mater is there. Dura mater is there. So this pia mater is here. Here, dura mater. Between that, we are having cerebrospinal fluid is there. So it helps the brain. It protects the brain from the outer problems. Right. Now, meninges, I'm telling you again. Meningitis, what is meninges? I told you. It's because meninges is made up of three parts, right? It's a layer that's made up of three layers: dura mater, arachnoid members, and pia mater. Now, what is meningitis? So, meningitis is an infection of the meninges caused by viruses or bacteria. Sometimes bacteria and viruses create problems to the cerebrospinal fluid. Generally, the bacterial forms are much more serious. Patients with meningitis usually are so sensitive to light and have a fever, severe headache, stiff neck, mental disturbances, nausea, and vomiting. Right? Meningitis can be diagnosed by blood test and by performing a lumbar puncture, in which cerebrospinal fluid is collected and analyzed for cell forms, glucose, and protein. Right? Treatment requires antibiotics, and may require hospitalization, sometimes also requires. So this bacterial infection, let's start this one. As I told you, this is brain. Let's see things here. Corpus callosum. As I told you, my dear friend, corpus callosum is what? As I told you, our brain, forebrain, right? Cerebral hemisphere, left cerebrum hemisphere, and right cerebrum hemisphere. So both are attached together. How? With the help of corpus callosum. With the help of Corpus callosum. Corpus callosum is a thing, is a part, is a bundle of nerves. Corpus callosum is what? The bundle of nerves that binds together the and left hemisphere to the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere, right? See here, as I told you, right cerebral hemisphere, right, and left cerebral hemisphere both are attached with the corpus callosum. Longitudinal feature you could see that. So corpus callosum, what is here? You could say corpus. Question could be called. What do you mean by? First, let's see about cerebellum. Cerebrum. I'm telling you. As I told you, the forebrain is there. Actually, forebrain and midbrain and hindbrain. Right. So let's start about cerebrum. The cerebrum or cortex. Let's go cerebrum hemisphere. The cerebrum or cortex is the largest part of the human brain, associated with a higher brain function such as thought and action. The thought, action, right, that is done by cerebrum hemisphere. Cerebrum hemisphere is also called cortex. The cerebral cortex. So this is divided into four sections called lobes, like frontal lobes, temporal lobes, parietal lobes, and occipital lobes. As I told you that like cranium is divided into four parts: frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal. In the same way, it's also divided into four lobes, my dear friend. So cerebral hemisphere. Now let's start. The vertebrate cerebrum. We are vertebrates, right? We are vertebrates because we are having brain. Our body is made up of bones. Bones. So bony structure. So we are the vertebrate. Cerebrum is formed by two cerebral hemispheres that are separated by a groove, the medial longitudinal figure. The brain can thus be described as being divided into left and right, means cerebral hemisphere. Left cerebral hemisphere and right cerebral hemisphere. Left cerebral hemisphere and right cerebral hemisphere. Each of these hemispheres has an outer layer of gray matter, the cerebral cortex, that is supported by an inner layer of white matter. Since I told you what, my dear friend, whenever we talk about our brain, like here I'm telling you cerebrum hemisphere, right? Left cerebrum hemisphere and right cerebrum hemisphere. So both are covered by gray matter and white matter. So question comes, what do you mean by gray matter? What do you mean by white matter, right? So we are placental mammal. In Eutherian, the hemispheres are linked with corpus callosum. As I told you, the hemisphere in our body, we are placental mammals. We are Eutherian, right? Mammals. The hemispheres are linked by the corpus callosum, a very large bundle of nerve fiber. Right? What is corpus callosum? Corpus callosum is a bundle of nerve fibers, right? So a smaller commissure, including the anterior commissure, the posterior commissure, and the fornix also join the hemisphere, and these are also present in other vertebrates. These commissure transfers information between the two hemispheres to coordinate localized function, right? So let us see the structure I'm telling you. Each cerebral hemisphere has an outer layer of cerebral cortex. Each cerebral hemisphere has an outer layer of cerebral cortex, which is of gray matter. And in the interior of the cerebral hemisphere is the inner layer of core of white matter, right? So here, see, gray matter I'm showing you. Gray matter is there, and a white matter is there, and sulcus there, gyrus is there. All these things are there. Now, I would like to tell you something today, because today class is going to be over. So now, some and substance I'm telling you. My dear friend, today I taught you a very, very important system that's called nervous system, right? Nervous system is a very important part of our body that coordinates actions and reactions, right? Because this is a system, nervous system, we are having like a central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. In central nervous system, brain and spinal cord comes. In peripheral nervous system, nerves comes that takes the message, that carries the message to the organs, and from the organs it carries the message. Right. Up today, I told you about what is the brain exactly. Because this brain you are seeing this one. As I told you, this is a skull, bony structure. Inside this skull, you are having cranium. This is also bony structure. This is called brain box, right? Where sulcus are there, gyrus are there, right? And inside that, brain is there, but still brain is covered with the meninges. Here, its meninges are made up of three layers, my dear friend. Dura Mater, subarachnoid membrane, and physiology, right? And after that, brain, fleshy structures are there. So how God has made all these things, how they have made their body protected. That's why brain is covered with three, this one and two, five layers. It is covered with five layers. It is protected with five layers. And in the brain, the whole universe is there. Psychological point of view, I'm telling you, whole universe is present inside the brain. Sometimes the memory before the birth that is also present in the brain. So hormones are there. Some hormones are there. Chemical substances, my dear friend. In our body, we are having different, just like as I told you, elements, atom you must have heard, elements you must have heard, like carbon, hydrogen. I'm telling you about 28 elements name with atomic number, right? So hydrogen 1, helium 2, lithium 3, beryllium 4, boron 5, carbon 6, nitrogen 7, oxygen 8, fluorine 9, neon 10, sodium 11, magnesium 12, aluminum 13, silicon 14, phosphorus 15, sulfur 16, chlorine 17, argon 18, potassium 19, calcium 20. So all these things are there. Whenever we all these things, like matters are there, it's made up of solid, liquid, and gases are there. Our body, we are having different elements are there. Like whenever we talk water, water is made up of H2O, right? Hydrogen and oxygen is made up of hydrogen and oxygen. Different types of carbohydrates are there, vitamins are there, proteins are there. Okay, so all these things are there. I will tell you all these about next class. Thank you very much today. Thank you. Thank you very much, my dear friend. Bye. See you.